Dear students, this is Lohit Ram SK, Assistant Professor of Commerce, Srimati and Sri YR Government First Grade College, Pavagada. So, in this session, I am going to discuss about the cost concepts, that is fixed cost and variable cost. Let's see. So, the first we discuss about the first, that is fixed cost. So, here the fixed cost is the cost or those costs that which do not vary with the volume of output. So, that means whatever the changes may take place in producing goods. So that means the inputs they are going to use or the output they are going to use, but the cost which is fixed will not vary or change even though there is a change in volume of production, that is size of production. So these costs remain fixed or constant up to a certain level of production. So here the certain level of production means up to a certain period or up to producing certain amount of goods and services or up to stages or levels. So up to that, these fixed costs remain constant. That means fixed. So no changes in the amount of that they are going to use for particular production of goods and services. Even if the production size is zero, that means nothing is produced or no productional activities is going on, but the firm or the company will have to incur fixed cost. So in order to maintain the cost which is relevant to about the maintenance or of that inputs which are used in producing goods and services. So here the examples of fixed cost are the rent, interest, the depression, sorry, depreciation. So the building machineries are have a depreciation or the charges of that maintenance or operating charges or maintenance charges they will take. So regularly they have to be paid or used, operate, that means they have to be maintained even they are not running or operated. So even machineries are working or not working, so they have to be maintained with care. So for that the cost is going to incur, so that's called depreciation charges. So they have to pay rent even though they whether they use the building or not, or whether they use the machineries or not at regularly or up to a certain period, or up to a period in which the both parties are agreed to for a rent. Then insurance. So here in insurance also it's made against the risk they are going to take. So whether they may not claim the amount immediately, it's claimable whenever the incident happens. So up to that, they have the insurer have to pay the amount regularly. So but they don't earn profit out of it immediately, so later on they will earn. And salaries. So here the salaries means for the regular employees, the company has to pay the salaries regularly, not to get extra work from them. But their work and performance will come to know when the performance of the company increases, when they reach the output, and when they are in a good position means they earn sufficient profit and their work of employees is profitable, we can say. But uh, whether the company earns profit or not, or whether in a whichever the condition the company will be there, but the company or management has to pay salaries. So these are all fixed up to a certain term or period, or for a long term or indefinite period. So whether relevant things to these are performing or not, they have to pay. That means those who are want to pay for the costs. So the fixed costs are also called as supplementary cost. They are capacity cost, or period cost, or overhead cost. Then so here the fixed cost may have another form, that is average fixed cost. So that means whenever there is a changes take place in the quantity of total production, so the average fixed cost is also changed. So here average fixed cost means the fixed cost per unit. Suppose take for example, if the company or firm is producing 100 units of products, so for each unit there is a fixed cost. So we can say that as a average fixed cost. Then if the volume of production increases, the average fixed cost also will increase. Then if the quantity of production decreases, then average fixed cost also increase. Then so thus there is an inverse relationship between fixed cost and quantity of production. So average fixed cost is obtained by dividing total fixed cost. So here the total for 100, whatever the amount they are going to spend will be divided by the total number of output they are going to produce. Here with the help of this diagram we can understand that OY axis represents TFC and price, OX axis represents the total output. So whatever the outputs the company is getting, the total fixed cost is remains same. Whatever the prices may changes. So here the TFC, so that is fixed cost curve, is equal to OX axis. In another one, the average fixed cost, so that means AFC and price represent, so OA represent AFC and price, OX represents output. According depending on the changes in output, AFC also here changed. So AFC curve is changed. So then fixed cost may be classified into two categories, that is recurrent fixed cost. So recurrent fixed cost, first one is recurrent fixed cost. So recurrent fixed costs are those costs which give rise to the cash output as certain explicit payment. So like rent, interest on capital. So that means it will recurring again and again. Rent have to pay regularly. For the capital they borrowed, they have to pay interest regularly. Then the insurance premium they have to pay at regular intervals. Then salaries of permanent or irreducible staff. So here these are all the examples for which the recurrent fixed costs they are to be made at regular time intervals by the firm. So if they delay for all this, so definitely it will affect the operations of the firm or business. Then allocable fixed cost, the second cost, second category of fixed cost is allocable fixed cost. So it refers to the implicit money that costs like depreciation charges on land and building on fixed assets like land and building, plant and machinery, which involves no direct cash outlays, but they are to be reckoned on the basis of time rather than usage. So up to what time they are going to maintain all these things. So here the cost is fixed. So the depending on the usage and the time of these things, the cost is fixed. So whether it's a land and building, up to what time they are going to possess it, and plant and machinery, so up to what time they are going to use it with maintenance, then there is no cash directly it will take place, but it's depending on their usage they have to incur the cost for this. So it is allocable fixed cost. Then we move to the variable cost. So here the name itself suggests variable cost are those costs which change the quantity of production. So with the use of variable cost, the quantity of production also can be changed because the inputs they are going to use, they may be varied or changed. So when the output increases, variable cost also increases. When the output decreases, the variable cost also decreases, because variable factors like material, machine, money, they can be varied depending on the production plan, size, combination, ability, capability. So on all these things, all these variable factors can be changed or varied. So there is no direct relationship between variable cost and volume of production. So here the producer has to make combination of variable factors in order to produce or get maximum output which is required. Then variable cost, they are also known as prime cost or the direct cost. So that means they are directly involved, which incurs in production process. So that is examples for variable cost are wages, power, stores. So they have to pay the wages for laborers. They have to use pay the power bills, and the stores they have to maintain. They daily or on a regular basis they incur, or they may be varied depending on the capabilities. That means the wages they are going to pay, it may be depend on the labor. The power means the up to what level they are going to use the power, and stores, and how they are going to store or what the method they are going to use to store. It's based on all these things, the cost may vary. So here we can classify this variable cost into, one is semi-variable cost, another one is stay variable cost. So under semi-variable cost, there are some costs which are neither perfectly variable or absolutely fixed. So this cost is called as semi-variable cost. So in relation to this changes in the size of outputs, it's always depend on the size of output. So these are all partly variable and not partly not variable. So these are known as semi-variable cost. So here, for example, electricity charges. So includes both fixed charges and charge based on the consumption. So that means if 3 units are consumed, up to the 3 units, one price will be charged. So after 3 units, the another price is charged for per unit. So like if consumption increases, the cost is also going to be changes in electricity. So electricity charges are the variable charges and semi-variable charges. Then the second classification of variable cost is stair variable cost. So here some cost remain fixed over certain range of outputs. That means up to a certain time they are used as fixed. That means, but suddenly they jump into a new high level. So when the output goes beyond given limit, so after up to a limit, it will be like fixed only. After that, it will be increases, jumps, but it's not like semi variable, but it's depending on the output and production level. So here the example for that, the salary of a foreman remain fixed. So that means after a certain time, the salary of foreman it's going to be fixed, and even every one extra that foreman works, the overtime should be paid. So that means more than fixed time, allotted time, if he works more than extra, it will become extra. So for that, the company has to pay. And if their performance increases, they may demand for the extra wages. Then let it be 100 per hour. In this case, the variable cost jumps to a new higher so level of output. That means, so if that foreman works for 2 hours, so it will be a 200 or a 150 like. So after discussing this, we have fixed and variable cost, will come to know that the fixed and variable costs are incurred to every business operations, but they always depend on the type of business they are going to use, the size of business they are going to do, and the plans of managers in which the inputs are combined and used. So all these things considered while incurring variable cost and fixed cost. So with this, I would like to conclude this session. Thank you.